My name is Madeline Ritchie from San Rafael, and I have two questions for both districts. One is, what is the role of the water districts in working with the planning commissions of the various cities and the county in discussing moratorium of building commercial and residential? And the second is addressing desalinization. If you could address those two.
Start with Krishna.
Okay, I'll take the second question first. So I'm all for Marin Municipal to desalinate. Desalination is a very expensive proposition. I'm sure that you're aware Marin Municipal studied it on several occasions. They're studying it on a region-wide basis in the East Bay now. Whether it comes to fruition or not, I don't know. But as Krishna pointed out and I reinforced, there's a big storage reservoir in Sonoma County with Russian River water that is available, and that's really what we're relying on. And the first question, could you remind me again?
With regard to working with planning.
Yes, we do work closely with planning agencies, and every 5 years, the water districts, both Marin Municipal and North Marin, are obligated to prepare an urban water management plan that looks at what's the existing water demand and the water demand from potential new development as prescribed by the general plan then in effect, and what is your available water supply to meet those forecasts of water demand. And so every 5 years we look at that. We coordinate closely with the planning agencies both in our cities and county to make sure that we have the correct numbers. We even go to the ABAG numbers to make sure that we haven't missed anything, and do that analysis every 5 years. And the state law requires us to do that.
So would you consider a moratorium?
Question over here.
In a mandatory water shortage condition, yes, there would be a moratorium on hookups until the conditions were to change.
If I may quickly add to that thought, the Board of Directors can consider a temporary ban on moratorium as part of the declaration of water shortage emergency as a suite of other options. So they could temporarily ban new hookups, and legally, when such an action is taken, that water district is required to look for additional supplies. Meaning the role of the water district is that, but if there is a pressing scenario, they will consider that. Yes.
In the news today and a few days ago, it was pointed out that Southern California is about ready to go online with desalinization, producing enough water to export from Southern California. Now, where has Marin Water District been on desalinization if these guys in Southern California are ready to produce?
Great question. Let me give you a couple of facts which I can clearly state. The water district, the Marin Municipal Water District did undertake an environmental impact review process. So we have an EIR which was duly certified and adjudicated too. The highest court of the state said that was done properly. So we have that EIR, and also as part of that journey, now MMWD is required to come back to the voters if a desal is to be constructed. So that's where it is.
Thank you. This is our last question. I think it's appropriate that our acting chair have the last question.
So I wonder if you could just go a little deeper in your answer to the previous question about building, and you did a good explanation of measuring the plans for water with the general plans and the housing elements. But could you talk a little bit more? Because what we know is that there's huge numbers of projections for growth coming into Marin County. So how do those numbers stack up against the water availability, since we've already been told we would have to conserve pretty drastically if the drought continues? Where will the water come from for 900 dwellings in Ulster and all of the places where growth is projected both in the North Bay and for NMWD.
Interestingly enough, the forecast for new growth since 1995, when I've been the manager, and every 5 years we have to prepare an urban water management plan. The forecasts for new growth have come down every 5 years. So the districts are responsible for providing water supply for new growth that is authorized by the land use authorities. And we work closely with the land use authorities so that they know how much water is available, but it's up to them to determine how much new growth will come in. They have to balance the new growth. We can tell them how much water will be available.
So they're telling us that there's not enough water for us to continue with lifestyles like we've had now with the drought. How do you tell them there's enough water?
I don't think, that is a difficult point to understand, but I think that what we've tried to indicate today is that this drought, which is the driest year on record, there should be water supplies available for everybody, and ample water supplies available. Now there are challenges. There's challenges on the Russian River, on the upper versus lower Russian River. There's challenges since our local supplies are lower this year than in normal years. But we look at that every 5 years to determine a normal year, a single dry year, and multiple dry years. How will our water supply be affected? And the state of California Department of Water Resources reviews all those plans and accepts or denies those plans, and where we would then have to go back and make adjustments, either on the growth side or on the water supply side. But currently, our urban water management plans indicate that there is water supply available to meet new growth as projected in Novato and certain municipal computers.
Susan did look at me, so I was kind of looking at the golf course too. I'll just add to what Chris said. I'm going to straightforward fashion stated. There are two functions. One is a planning, land use function, and the other one is a water supply function. The respective Board of Supervisors and the respective city councils, through their general planning process, determines the density of growth and what kind of growth. It's a very involved process, right? And each of the 11 cities and the county does approve a 20-year general plan. The role of the water district is to provide enough water supply for the growth approved in the general planning process. And then once, as Chris explained, every 5 years we are required to do what is called an urban water management plan. We take into account all of those general plans approved in our service area and kind of make a long-term projection. And these difficulties are not absolute, meaning, there's no water. I mean, you've got to think and that's the whole process of planning for a water entity. To line up the required water as determined by the planning process. So that dichotomy is hard to explain. You say that in a more artful fashion, but that's what it is. For now, we'll continue this conversation.
Okay,